Oakland to Sacramento, Sacramento to Las Vegas. How did this all happen?
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. I am your host, Bunni. Episodes will drop Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. That's Oakland time, Vegas time, and Sacramento time. Whether you are on your way to work, driving back from work, or listening casually during the day, make Locked On A's your first listen every day. I'm from the Bay Area, and I've been a die-hard A's fan since 1981. I'm here to bring you a real fan's take, covering everything from Oakland to Sacramento to Las Vegas. This is the place for A's fans to get the latest game breakdowns, team news, and more. This is where the passion of the fan takes center stage. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. And please hit that subscribe button wherever you are following the show. The current A's franchise is in a place where no other sports franchise has ever been. What do I mean? The A's literally do not have any type of fan base. The Oakland fan stance, for the most part, is if the A's leave Oakland, they are dead to me. They are going to Sacramento next year, where they are playing in a minor league ballpark until 2028, when the plan is to go to Las Vegas, where they will have their new stadium built. Well, how can you really build a fan base on a team that is planning to leave in a couple of years? There seems to be a small pocket of fans in Las Vegas that are excited about the A's. But while everyone has told us that Vegas is happening, we still really don't know for sure. It's not until 2028 at the earliest, and the A's are not Vegas's team, just like the Raiders are not Vegas's team. And that's no knock on Las Vegas. It's just the way it is. You cannot tell me Las Vegas will have the same passion or fan base for the Raiders or the A's as you do currently for the Golden Knights. Or let's say even going back in time, Jerry Tarkanian's Running Rebels of the late 80s and early 90s. Even the 46,000 fans that packed Allegiant Stadium on Friday night to see a now national contending UNLV football team had more passion and more of a solid fan base from Las Vegas than the A's and the Raiders. These days, the only type of news anyone associated with the A's have an interest in is John Fisher's financing, John Fisher's balance sheet, and any updates with the stadium being built in Las Vegas. The current A's fan base have showed more passion rooting against John Fisher than they did at all in 2024 in rooting for the A's on the field. And that may sound harsh, but that's just the truth. Don't get me wrong. I am not a John Fisher fan whatsoever. But my point being right now is that the current A's franchise and the current A's team has not much of a fan base, to say the least. They can care less about free agent signings. They can care less about draft picks. They can care less about minor league updates. But if you have some good John Fisher financing updates, all ears. So in all sense of the definition, the A's literally do not have a fan base currently. What the hell happened? Or has this been a plan that has been 2 decades in the works? Bud Selig in cahoots with Leo Wolff as they train the young Jedi John Fisher? When it was Fisher's time, how did he execute the heist? Did the city of Oakland drop the ball? First, let's see how this all started. This episode is brought to you in part by PRIZEPICKS. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDON MLB to win $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. PRIZEPICKS, run your game. It is important to remember that the A's were not the first Bay Area team that wanted to leave. In 1992, San Francisco Giants owner Bob Lurie wanted to sell the Giants to a group that wanted to move the Giants to Tampa Bay. A local ownership group offered to buy the Giants, but were not willing to pay full price. They were actually considerably less than the Tampa group, and they had to come up in price. To help sweeten the deal for the Giants, Walter Haas, the A's owner at the time, who was just a good man. He believed in honor, integrity, and the community. Haas gave the Giants territorial rights to San Jose. Giants ended up coming up in price, which was still about $15 million short than the Tampa group. But at the end of the day, Major League Baseball blocked the Giants from relocating to Tampa and voted to take the $100 million from the Bay Area group rather than the $115 million from the Tampa group. Now let's go forward to 1995. Walter Haas was getting old and he wanted to unload the team. He ended up selling the team to 2 real estate developers, Steve Schott and Ken Hoffman, at a discount, $85 million, with one condition, which was that they were to keep the team in Oakland. They could not move the team. That condition did not last very long, as they found a loophole which allowed them to move the team with giving the city only 1 year's notice. Schott has been quoted in the past as saying he always thought that the meaning of success was to be financially successful. Well, it came to no one's surprise that Schott got rid of any financial overhead the A's had, which made them the most successful Major League Baseball organization in the late 80s and early 90s. The ink was barely even dry from Schott buying the team, and he wanted to move. He made it clear that he wanted zero to do with Oakland. Schott first wanted to move to Santa Clara, where Levi's Stadium currently is, and where the San Francisco 49ers currently play. Santa Clara supported the move. They were all in. Here's the problem. Remember when Walter Haas gave territorial rights to the Giants to help sweeten the deal so they wouldn't move to Tampa? Well, now the Giants weren't willing to reciprocate and were not willing to give up the rights. Schott was angry, real angry, and him and Bud Selig, the Major League Baseball commissioner at the time, began to butt heads. Selig, in so many words, told Schott to pipe down. There isn't a chance in hell you're going to Santa Clara. At this point, Schott was tired of the quote-unquote rat race, and he decided to sell the team. Ownership groups were coming out in vast numbers, only to get shot down one by Selig. One of the groups was led by current Golden State Warriors owner Joe Lacob, who said he pleaded with Selig to allow him to buy the team. Another group was led by Reggie Jackson and Bill Gates. And Selig actually told Jackson not to worry, that he will sell them the A's. Out of nowhere, the A's were sold to John Fisher and Leo Wolff for $180 million. Fisher would be the majority owner. Wolff would be the minority owner, but Wolff would be the face of ownership. Why Fisher and Wolff? Before we answer that question, we have to dive into Bud Selig. How you currently feel about John Fisher is how I feel about Bud Selig. This feeling towards Selig started in June 2001 when he was quoted in a television interview saying the following: "I watched 32 years ago the Kansas City A's move to Oakland. They hurt the Giants badly and never really did very well themselves. It was a horrible mistake." Never really did well themselves? Are you serious, bud? 4 world championships, 6 American League championships, 11 Western Division championships, and we didn't do very well? Hey, bud, kick rocks. Up next, let's dive into Leo Wolff. This episode is brought to you in part by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. For me personally, I love PrizePicks. They have tons of choices and options for every single game. It is easy to deposit, and when you're having a winning day, it is very simple to withdraw. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which players aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your opinions into real money all season long on PrizePicks. Game 3 of the World Series is this evening, and I just see the Yankees breaking out offensively. I like Aaron Judge and Juan Soto to go more than hits plus runs plus RBIs. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's Locked On MLB. PrizePicks. Run your game. So let me get this straight. Reggie Jackson and Bill Gates will offer the highest amount of money to purchase the A's, and they get shot down by Selig for Leo Wolff and John Fisher? Now, John Fisher is the money. I wasn't worried about him. Little did I know. But Wolff was the face. Who was Leo Wolff? Leo Wolff was a real estate developer, just like Steve Schott, just like Hoffman. He attended the University of Wisconsin. The University of Wisconsin. Okay, he was a Badger. You know who else was a Wisconsin Badger? I will tell you who else was a Wisconsin Badger. Bud Selig was a Badger. And guess what? Selig and Wolff were both members of Pi Lambda Pi fraternity from 1953 to 1956. Bud Selig and Leo Wolff were fraternity brothers. Now, where does John Fisher fit in? At this time, Fisher is strictly the money. It's like the Star Wars saga. You had the Emperor, who was Bud Selig, instructing Darth Vader, played by Leo Wolff, with young Anakin Skywalker observing and learning, played by John Fisher. What a masterpiece this was turning into be. Now, you can't just get up and take a team wherever you want. There are steps. You have to have a plan. Who's a better person to show you the steps, to execute the plans, that has the blueprints than Bud Selig, who ultimately was really the individual that wanted the A's out of the Bay Area? As I mentioned earlier, you have to go through a series of steps in order to execute this master plan. Step one of a new ownership group: vow that you will not move the team from Oakland. You will make it work in Oakland, and you are focusing on the team and the fans. Wolff came out publicly in several occasions saying that he was committed to building a new stadium in the current Coliseum lot. Step two, make unreasonable demands that cannot be met. Wolff no longer wanted the Coliseum lot. He now wanted East Oakland, which would require relocating tenants and businesses in East Oakland. On top of that, he demanded that a BART station be built next to his new site, even though the Coliseum already had a BART station right next to it. The crazy part is that the Oakland City Council was open to these demands. Step three, you need to alienate the Oakland A's fan base in order to yell no fan support. So how do you alienate the fans? Well, here's a good start. In 2005, the Oakland A's opened up the third deck of the Oakland Coliseum, where they will now sell their cheap seats. The problem with that is that prices went up in the second deck, first deck, etc., and made it difficult for fans to afford games. Here's another nice little caveat Wolff and Fisher pulled. In order for the city of Oakland to share concession revenue with the A's attendance had to be at least 2 million. In other words, Wolff and Fisher were literally trying to push down attendance. Step four, start blaming the city. Start pointing the finger. In 2006, Wolff is now looking to move the team to the city of Fremont, claiming that Oakland is not serious about a new stadium. He can now go to the commissioner and say, I'm doing everything I can, but Oakland doesn't want to do jack. Although the city approached Wolff on several occasions on how to keep the A's in Oakland, Wolff was not having it. So here we are in Fremont. Done deal. A spot is picked, plans are ready, and the A's are going to stay in the East Bay. But doesn't this contradict Selig's ultimate plan, being that the Giants will be the only team in the Bay Area? Step five, don't deal with the issues at the forefront. Rather, push them off till later, which is perfect considering Fremont wasn't real to begin with. The BART station was 5 miles away from the new proposed stadium. Remember when Wolff had to have a BART station at the East Oakland site? Now it's all of a sudden not an issue. This is when I knew things did not add up. I worked in the Fremont area during this time, and it was impossible to have a stadium there. The traffic alone should have dismissed the location. The stadium would have been smaller. It would have increased ticket prices significantly. And when Wolff was pressed on these issues, his response was details, details. The stadium is not set to open up for another 5 years. Well, we will have those issues figured out well before when we get there. Just say thank you that I'm staying and stop with the nonsense questions. Obviously, 2 years after the Fremont location was announced, the deal was now dead. That Wolff tried so hard to make work. Now Wolff wants to go to San Jose. Didn't we already go down this road before? How is this logically being entertained? The city of Oakland came back to Wolff and announced the Howard Terminal site and, of course, a new stadium at the current Coliseum. Wolff said, no way. We looked at everything. We looked at the Coliseum site. We looked at Howard Terminal. Impossible. There is no way it will work. You got to imagine that Leo Wolff and Bud Selig right now are like, Oakland, take a hint. Leave us alone. We don't want to be there. But instead, what do Wolff and Fisher do to the city that loves them? They steal from them. When you pay for parking at an A's game, a portion of that money goes to the city in taxes. Well, Fisher and Wolff were pocketing that money. They didn't pay it. Most say it was some sort of negotiating tactic. No, they had no intention of negotiating with the city of Oakland. They wanted to alienate the city of Oakland. They wanted to piss off the city of Oakland. What they underestimated was that it wasn't about Fisher and Wolff. It was about the people of Oakland. And as long as Oakland continues to put effort into meeting the demands of Fisher and Wolff, they simply could not go. The city of San Jose ended up suing Major League Baseball over the Giants' territorial rights in San Jose. Now, Wolff claims that he wasn't aware of the lawsuit, which I happen to believe, because his boy Bud could have easily bypassed those territorial rights and allowed the move to San Jose. But that wasn't the goal. It was about getting the A's out of the Bay Area market, period. This was all a show and told the story that we have no other options and need to go. The U.S. Supreme Court rejected the city's claim and ruled for Major League Baseball, which many believe was a big blow to Wolff. But no, not me. It was going exactly as planned. Despite all of this, the Howard Terminal $500 million waterfront site is proposed and is spectacular. The ballpark had backers. It raised the money for everything that would go into the approval process. Leo Wolff's response, it would be easier to build on Treasure Island, and wanted nothing to do with the Howard Terminal idea. Wolff said the only site possible is the Coliseum site. And of course, Bud supported this. As the planning for the Coliseum site was underway, as usual, Wolff made more demands that were not possible to be met. The city began to call for Wolff and Fisher to sell the team to a group that would support either of the two sites. The city of Oakland did everything in its power to keep the A's in Oakland. There was no quitting them. And as much as I would like to give part blame to the city, to the politicians, the red tape they create, they bent over backwards for the A's. After years of going back and forth, Wolff stepped down as managing partner and minority owner. In 2016, Wolff sold his interest in the A's to John Fisher. Fisher would announce Dave Kaval as the new president, and hence a new era. Or was it anything new? Up next, let's get into John Fisher. This episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit fanduel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's fanduel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. John Fisher. What can I say about John Fisher that hasn't been said already? When Fisher took over, there was actually some hope he would take the team in a positive direction. And anything other than Wolf had to be better, right? For me, the writing was on the wall already. The thing that everyone forgets is that during the Wolf years, Leo Wolff was the minority owner. John Fisher was the majority owner. In other words, everything that Wolff was saying was Fisher's sentiments. I am not going to get into the details of Fisher's timeline because it was the exact same playbook as the Wolff years. Nothing different, just sloppier. In 2017, the A's announced Laney College as a possible move. It probably would have been nice to notify Laney College about that, considering they had no idea that was the A's plan. When it came to a vote, it got obliterated. Fisher refused to pay his players during COVID and decided only to pay them after the press literally blasted him. He pocketed revenue sharing that was meant to improve the team. At the end of the day, John, it's your team. You can do what you want. But Sacramento was unnecessary. Fisher wanted to hurt people with the move to Sacramento, and he succeeded. We have all heard the stories, and it's lie after lie. What do you say about John Fisher? A wannabe Gordon Gekko? In the simplest of terms, John Fisher is just not a good person. We appreciate you making today's episode of Locked On A's your first listen of the day. For your second listen, be sure to check out Locked On MLB Podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with your pal Sully, who has it all covered every single day. Click here to listen now. Don't forget that between these episodes, you can keep up with me and your A's by following on social media at X or Twitter at Locked On A's. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the Locked On A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.